My name is Michael Nichols. I work in business model innovation at Bosch. I'm part of the global accelerator team, and we work on topics from, obviously acceleration, but also ambidextarity how do we implement ambidextarity on the corporate level. And then next we're thinking about how do you properly validate and scale new businesses. That's our main focus for exploratory ventures. I think it's always difficult to say whether something's truly being disrupted, like in the Clayton Christensen sense. I think what you see in Bosch's main business, which is automotive, is you see the challenge that Googles of the world, the Apples of the world are entering the car from the other side, and they have access to customer data, user data, and then the threat maybe is that they suck value out of the value chain, even from the car manufacturers themselves. So that's one thing. Other thing is whether other smaller, nimbler suppliers can insert themselves in front of the tier one somehow and chip away. I think those are things you would say are challenges, but it's not only in the automotive. You see it in our household goods segments. You see it in power tools. You have this like you have a Hilti business model versus the traditional pump out volume and sell it through the stores. And I think there's always a question of how will this business model change, because I think most business models eventually just come to an end. So for me, I don't think there's anything special what's happening right now. Maybe it's just faster. And there's more buzz and hype around disruption, but businesses have always lived and died, regenerated or not.
But the pace is maybe faster and
Perhaps. I mean, I think that's also questionable there's a lot of buying of startups to sort of stave off the threat. And it's questionable whether disruption's actually happening at the speed we believe. Because it's also a legitimate strategy you see from American companies too.
Just buy them
up, and they're no longer a threat. My presentation, the main message is when you're working with truly exploratory innovation in any context, whether you're out in the wild with startups or you're internally exploring new things beyond your core, you simply have to accept that the failure rates are really high, and you have to internalize that and create processes that can give you a capital efficient process to validate and test quickly. Otherwise, if it is true that you're being disrupted quickly, you simply cannot afford to tie up so much cash for so long on losers. And I would say that's the main thing. And then the last thing is innovation is really an organizational topic. Right? That if you don't change KPIs or organization, culture cannot change. And therefore you have to differentiate between exploratory business, KPIs you apply, the organizational structure you apply, and the core business. And I'm probably a little bit contrarian. I'm not a believer in transforming the core. For me, that's one of the core learnings of ambidextarity is let the core be the core. Let it be the efficiency engine and the execution engine, incremental innovation, and then find another mechanism for exploring new ventures. And then you always have to manage this challenge of reintegration or not. Or is it just a new business unit? I think I think you just got to be careful about it, how you manage that, because the goal of every explore organization is to become exploit, to eventually become core. But while it's figuring out how to scale and become an exploit organization, the metrics you use are really around is what drives this business model in particular. Is it usage? Is it like a rides per day? Is it engagement on the platform? Is it you're connecting multi-sided market? What value problems you're solving? It's different by project. And I think the challenge is getting executives to recognize that your investment horizons are much longer for a truly exploratory business, and then that's the fundamental change. Accept it. You have to be able to go to your core business and say, EBIT margin, revenue, cost. Well, what are we doing over here? How capital efficient are we? And then come over to the explore side and what have you learned about your business model today? Are we moving forward in our validation? Can we really produce this value? Are we reaching our next customer segments or not? It's a totally different mindset. I think it's part of it is coming to conferences like this to learn what others have learned before you start. Also, this sounds a bit pedantic, is read the literature. I mean, universities have accumulated a lot of information on the struggles that corporations have with innovation, and they've interacted with a lot of other corporations. So I think before you start out, find out what those challenges are and make sure that you're thinking about an answer before you start. Because otherwise you just end up with the typical innovation theater fireworks, but at the end it's a graveyard of
And if you look,
projects. And all of that, and then you can use tools such as Osterwalder's stuff, and he's now gotten into ambidextarity, thinking about it, how you do it. But the main thing is understand this challenge, and start thinking about how you can solve that in your organization. Because I don't believe there's a cookie cutter answer.